Flosstube. Welcome back. I am Christy. I am the Crosshatch Quilter, and this is Flosstube number 32. Today is Friday, October 25th, 2024. I can't believe that we're almost to the end of the year. Where has this year gone? I hope this video finds you well and you've been enjoying fall, or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, spring. We are having a great fall here. We're just trying to soak up every day for what it's worth. The fall leaves are just bright and beautiful, and we've been going on walks and hikes and just trying to soak it all up before the temperatures drop and the leaves fall and it's all over. I just wish it lasted a little bit longer. But we've had a great time, and I've been stitching my heart out and sewing up a storm. And my daughter turned 16 this week. So on Wednesday, she woke up bright and early, and we were at the DLV at 7 a.m. getting her driver's license because she turned 16. And that has been a super fun part of this fall for her and us. And we're just so excited for her. And then this weekend she'll have friends over, and it's been a fun week. I have 6 finishes, 4 fully finishes, 2 just finished, and some starts, of course, some whips, and some sewing. Each time I sit down to record, I get nervous, like it's my first time filming. So I apologize. And if I have to take some coughing and drink breaks, we've been a little bit sick around here, so I'm just getting over that cold. But I have 6 finishes, like I said, 4 fully finished and 2 finished. So the first one that I have to share with you is October Feast, and this is being housed in my pumpkin bag. And I saw this stitched by Jordan, the tattooed stitcher, and I was like, oh, I have that kitted and I need to stitch it so that it can go with my Acorn Gatherings needlebook. So this was my finish on that, and it is stitched on 36 count Legacy by Picture This Plus. I stitched it with all the called for threads. Oh, that is just autumn perfection right there. So the reason why I didn't fully finish this is because it's going to be stitched on the same linen as Acorn Gatherings, which is by Brenda Gervais as well. So I'll fully finish them at the same time, and I'm hoping to get this started here in this next week. So there's my first one, and then my second one. I've wanted to stitch this for a couple of years, and I'm like, oh, come on, it's just a small little stitch. And I showed this to you last time, and that is Betsy's Autumn Bird. And I want to also stitch the acorn. It comes with the pattern to stitch this little acorn. I want to stitch a few of them. So I didn't fully finish this either because I want to finish that at the same time. But here is the bird. She's so cute, or he's so cute. I stitched it with all the called for threads, but I added this Harvest Moon, I believe is what it's called. Yep, Harvest Moon by Gentle Arts. I originally had stitched the beak and the bird's feet, and then the one sunflower with the called for pecan. And then I wanted to add a little bit of yellow to make my sunflowers pop a little bit better. So I added the Harvest Moon on these other 2. So he's so cute. That was a fun, quick stitch, very satisfying. I can't wait to get to the acorn as well. So those little acorns just seem a little bit intimidating to finish, so we'll see. Okay, so then I told you last time that I really needed to finish Boo to You. I'd started it a few years ago, and I just forgot about it in a bag. But this is by Brenda Gervais, and I stitched her with all the called for threads on the 36 count Winter's Brew, and she's so cute. There's a lot of stitching in this little one. Last time I just had the pumpkin head done and the outline of her shirt and the first row of her dress. So I am super glad to have this finished and being displayed for October. So cute. I love Pumpkinhead people. They are absolutely my favorite. They're so vintage and they're just perfect. So I finished it with a little bit of houndstooth fabric on the back, and I stuffed it with not walnut shells. I finished it with sawdust and a little bit of polyfill. And then of course just the gingham ribbon. So just basically like the cover page. So that is so fun. And if you have this in your stash, it is a really fun stitch. I love fill-in, so this is a lot of fun. And then her little necklace has a little bit of satin stitching to finish the acorn. She's so cute, and I want to stitch the others as well. There's a bunny rabbit and a snowman and a Santa Claus. So this is the first in that series that I have finished. I showed you this last time that I wanted to start it, and I started it and finished it. It's The Cat and the Moon by Brenda Gervais. I just had a Brenda Gervais month. And this is the cutest little guy. He's so vintage and just perfect. He's so cute. So I stitched mine just on a piece of 36 count Old Town Blend, and he is so cute. I used all the called for threads. Oh, he's so stinking adorable. I love him. And then I just fully finished it into a drum with some Teresa Kogut Halloween fabric. And I wanted to put some trim, like some fuzzy, sparkly trim. I've seen somewhere before, but I didn't have any in my stash, so I might add some of that. But for right now, he's so fun sitting out with all the other, I call it the Boo Crew of all my little Halloween finishes, and I put them in a little bowl. I will have put a video at the beginning of this showing how I display them. This next finish, this might be my favorite finish. I don't know. I love them all. But this is Butternut House Pin Keep. And if you're like me, I'll start stuff, and then if I don't know how I'm going to fully finish it, it kind of takes the wind out of my sails. But after finishing my needle roll from my last video for the birds and the bees pin keep or needle roll by Stacy Nash, I'm like, this would be so fun as a needle roll. And it's just such a big piece that I didn't want it as a pillow, but I felt like, well, I have enough framed pieces on my wall for Halloween. So what I did is I finished it into a needle roll, or a needle roll. I was going to call it a needle book. It can be either. So I put a little bit of Teresa Kogut fabric on the inside, and I made a pocket and did a little bit of wool applique. This is a Primitive Gatherings pattern I have to make an entire quilt with, but I just used a pattern and made one of the tiny pumpkins. And then there's a safety pin with some vintage buttons and a cute little, this is just one of those rings that kids have around Halloween, and a little bit of silk ribbon. So there's the inside, and oh, I just love it so much. I absolutely love how this turned out, and it will get used now. I didn't know how I was going to display this or have it out in my home as a pillow or framed piece. So I'm really excited that I finished it as the needle roll. So fun. That fill-in, I pondered doing the fill-in or not. And I finally did. And my friends are the ones that were like, just do it. You won't regret it. And I'm so glad that I did the fill-in around the pumpkins. The only change that, well, it's not a change. So on the chart, the grass right here in the picture, it shows that there's steps going up to the front porch, and it shows that the door is green. So when you're stitching it, the chart doesn't show the house door as a different color than the windows. So I had stitched the door gray, and then I unpicked it and I decided I wanted a different color. And then I just put in some steps here going up to the front door like the picture shows, but the chart does not have steps going up to the door. So that is my little changes that I made. And I love it. I love how it turned out. So fun. I'm very pleased. So once I got that idea of how to finish it, then I just stitched and stitched. I had quite a ways to go on this one still, but I'm happy with that. And like I said, once I know how I'm going to fully finish something or where I'm going to display something in my home, it really gives me the drive to fully finish something and stitch it faster. Okay, and then my last finish is Jacka Lantern Sewing Pocket and Chatelaine. I showed this to you last time. And here's where I was at last time. I'll put a picture in here. And here is my finish. So I finished it into the sewing pocket and finished the, are these the chatelaines? The cute little pumpkin and witch hat. This was such a fun stitch, and I'm totally addicted to monochromatic stitching now. So I foresee lots of it in my future. It's just like a palette cleanser when I like to pick this up a lot in between projects. Once I've finished a stitch and then I'm about to go into another one, I'll pick this up and put, you know, a day's work into it. And then I'll set it down and then I'll do it again after another little finish. It just kind of, it's a good palette cleanser. So this is really fun, and I'm glad that it's finished. So that is all my fully finishes, and now I'm going to clean up this and I'll be back to show you my whips and starts. So I talked about this last time that I really wanted to start this so that I'd have some fall stitching on my walls. It wasn't a house. And I've loved this ever since it has been out. Harvest Friendship by Teresa Kogut. So I started this with a group of friends the following Saturday after my video. And got it housed in my Lella Boutique fall bag. Love those fabrics so much. And I'm stitching with all the called for threads, except for I added Chalk by Gentle Arts. And I switched my fabric out from what I showed you I was thinking about last time. I did a little tiny test stitch on both fabrics, and I chose this 36 count French Vanilla by R&R Reproductions. And I really am happy with the way that the colors are showing up. It just is so autumnal to me. So that pumpkin is stitched in the chalk instead of the called for, I think it's 3866. So, and I had to unpick the squirrel, so he's being restitched in perfect squirrel fashion, right? That was what I had to struggle with. So we are stitching this. I don't know if we're all stitching it as assignments, but I broke it up into 12 segments. And there's 12 of these border segments. So I'm going to try to stitch one of these a month and then just pick a section to work on. So I'm aiming to get this done by next October. So cute. I love those. I love pumpkin head people. They're the best. So that was my first start, and then this next start is all Sean with Periwinkle Stitcher's Fault. And I have loved this ever since it came out. And I have a couple of friends stitching it, my friend Carol Crago and Jessica, the Sweetwater Stitcher. She'd shown it, and then I've seen it finished on Lizzie the Stitcher's Flosstube. And I've really just loved it and thought, no, I don't need another fall house, but I really do. I really do. So I decided to take the plunge, ordered the chart, got all the threads, and I got a teeny tiny little start. I am stitching mine on 36 count Vintage Pear by Lakeside Linens. And I'm using all of the called for threads. I think they look so pretty on this linen. The only changes that I made is I took out the 2 blues that were called for, and I replaced them with aged pewter and Chesapeake Bay. So those are the 2 blues that I'm going to stitch the birds in. So really loving this, and I love Halloween stitching, but fall and autumn stitching and Thanksgiving stitching is my very, very favorite. And so I just always feel like I need to have one going. It's not going to get done this year, but at least I got a little start on it, and so I can pick it up and give it a little bit of love during the month of November. And I'm also planning on stitching Real Comfort as soon as it gets here. So I'm going to have some more Thanksgiving and fall houses in my future. Speaking of fall houses, here's another one. So I had to stitch this. I had to start it because it reminds me of walking with my new dog Luna and her just admiring the birds and playing with them. So this is White Pumpkin Farm, and when we drive to the park, there's a lot of farmland and barns and things, and so this just totally reminds me of going walking in the fall. Sorry for the glare on that. I got this housed in my Fig Tree Autumn bag because I finished my other chart that was in it. And so I am stitching with all of the called for threads except for one, and I will show you that here. So here's my start. Oh, I love those crows so much. And I've decided that every time I stitch a horse, that his name is going to be Calliope, just like on the gather in. So there's Calliope, and he's waiting for his barn to be stitched. I had all of this outlined with the called for red, and I actually had all the windows stitched in, and I realized that I had made a boo-boo, but I wasn't happy with the called for red. It was just a little too pink for my house, so I have taken that out. That is Red Rocks. I am replacing it with the Mulberry by Gentle Arts. So there is the colors, and I'm going to take that one out. So hopefully here I will be able to get this outlined and the windows put back in this week. I have a fun trip planned to go and see my friend Lori. We're going to go and have some fall fun. I was supposed to go there last week, and then I was sick, so I had to cancel, but we are going to get together next week. And I'm hoping I can have some easy fill-in stitching prepped and prepared so that that can get done. I really want to get this finished this fall. Love it so much. This is just going to be a fun thing on another house on my fall wall. So there's that one. And then I decided to work on a few whips, be a little bit responsible. And this is His Eye is on the Sparrow by Heartstring Samplery. Is there really responsibility in our hobbies, though? I mean, come on. It's all for fun. So this is being housed in my farm bag. I love it so much. This is one that I bought from Debbie Stitching. And let me show you my progress. So I was working on this on Sundays, and then when I lost my stitchy bug, it kind of went out the window, but I'm going to try and pick it up again and give it some love. I don't know what day of the week. I'll I don't know if I like stitching on a plan as much as I just like to pick it up when I feel like it. But here's my progress. This is being stitched on 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus, and with all the called for threads. I changed the colors of the house to Mulberry. I copied Michelle with Cozy Egg on that. I thought that was a fantastic change to this chart. I just love me a red house. So I've got the upper part done, and then I finished stitching. Well, I haven't finished stitching the tree. I need to put in all of the berries and everything, but I've got the snake done on the tree. And then I've been going around and filling in the vines on the border And I knew once I stitched the tree that I wanted to just keep going back and forth and finishing motifs. So I finished both of the birds on each side and the trees and the berry bowl on top. And now I'll just, you know, I'll go from side to side and stitch a motif and then finish its matching motif on the other side. I love this project. I was very I was very snarky one day and decided to fill in the year, but I really don't think that this is going to get done this year. So I think I might have to unpick the 4 on that year, but that's fine. So there is his eyes on the sparrow. I love that project so much. It's a good thing because I've been working on it for several years, but that's okay. As I said before, there's no stress. There's just no pressure. This is, my next one is Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. And this is the last whip that I worked on. Oh, I'm so glad that I finally decided to pick this up and work on it. And as I said last time, it's being stitched on 32 count Murky. And so that's why I just didn't know if the 1 strand of floss would work with it. But these are the threads. It's all the called for. And I've got it in my Hallows Eve fig tree back. And I worked on this the most out of all of my stitching. And I love, love, love it. So what I have done is I've been working on the border, and I'll just get that called for thread, and I'll do here and I'll do up here, and then I'll do the carriage black for the flowers on both sides, and I just keep going. So that's how I'm progressing with the floral border. That border is quite intense, as all Stacy Nash borders are, and that's what makes her pieces so amazing, right? So I finished the alphabet and the key, and then I decided I wanted to fully finish the right side. So that is all the stitching other than the border that is on the right side. So I got the tree and the crosses done, the bird, the cat, the witch with her cauldron and her awesome broom. And then I've been working, I stitched the house, and I've been working on filling it in. I will wait till I'm fully finished with the entire piece to do the panes on the windows. I think I'm done with Halloween stitching, and I'm moving on to autumn and Thanksgiving stitching now. So I'll definitely have a goal of finishing this next year though. So pretty, and it has been the perfect piece to work on. I remember we were watching Practical Magic one night as I was stitching on it, and it's just so fun. It's fun to remember what you were doing. That's why I love stitching in the season more than anything, because then I can just tie memories around to it, and it just makes it that much more special. So the thing thought I would do next is show you all of my framed Halloween finishes to this date so far. I know most of the names, but there's one that I do not. And that first one, I'll show that to you. I've done Google search on the picture. I don't know the name of the chart or even the designer. I am so sorry. But I love this. I love pulling it out every year and putting it up on the wall. I love my favorite part is the little ghosts and the witch hanging out the window and the cat on the roof. So it's such a fun one. And I love all the buttons on it as well. So then the next one that is an oldie, this one I stitched well over probably 25 years ago. It was framed at Max, which they're no longer in business. This is Trick or Treat by the Cricket Collection. And I just framed it with some barnwood. I'm sure that it was stitched on 28 count with 2 strands. So fun. Such a fun piece. It's a little beat up because it's, 25 years old, but it's a fun one. And this is another oldie but goodie. And I don't remember the name of this, but it is by Lizzie Kate. And I stitched this years ago as well. I believe that you could order the frame for this at the time. So that's what I did. And I believe it's stitched on 28 count as well, but I have no idea. The linen, it was all the called for threads. So cute. He's a happy little ghost. Oops. See, this is why they get banged up. Another oldie but goodie, Prairie Schooler. Isn't Halloween Prairie Schooler just classic? This is when witches go riding. I stitched this on 28 count Lagana, called for DMC. This is one of my very favorite pieces. Absolutely just a classic. Never will go out of style. And then this is Jack's House by Stacy Nash. Super fun. This is another one that I struggled with knowing how to fully finish it because I couldn't decide with its size if I wanted it to be a pin keep. That's what she has it fully finished on the chart picture, is a pillow. But I decided to get this one framed and I love it. I love the colors. This one I do leave up through Thanksgiving even though it has Jacks on it just because the colors are so autumnal. And another good Stacy Nash. This is The Good Stitching Witch. Love it. And I just got this frame at Walmart, I believe. And she just fit in there perfectly. Love her little strawberry. So cute. It's fun to get all these out. I'm not as much a huge Halloween stitcher as I used to be, but my kids love all of my Halloween pieces, so that's what keeps me going and motivated to keep working on them. This next one is Away We Ride, and this is by Blackbird Designs. I stitched this with the called for threads on 32 count, I believe French Vanilla by R&R. I remember this border was quite, it was quite detailed. I remember thinking that it was the never-ending border at the time. But this is one of my all-time favorites. I think it's just so magical and captures the Halloween essence perfectly. And this is another good Blackbird Designs Midnight Watch, I believe. And this has a matching quilt called Midnight Silhouette. Is a quilt kit, or a kit from Blackbird, from a quilt from Blackbird Designs. And I have the kit and I'm hoping to make it one day. Loved this, stitching this. This was on 30 count, the called for on 30 count. I don't remember the linen, but with all the called for threads. My moon has faded over the years a little bit, but it is the called for threads. It shows up well. The linen is dark, so it shows up, but it's definitely faded. Now, I haven't noticed that on very many stitches, but on a couple of them, I've noticed the threads have faded. And this is my very favorite that I have stitched to date, other than what I'm working on right now, which is Halloween at Hollyberry Farm. But this is Ghoul Tide Welcome by Plum Street Samplers. And I stitched this with, this one I remember stitching, and I started it with all the called for DMCs. And this is a piece of 36 count vintage sand dune by Lakeside Linens. And I wasn't happy with the way the DMCs were showing up on the linen, so I ordered all the NPI silks and I unstitched it. And I had like a lot done. Like, I can't remember for sure, but I know that I had some of the border and some of these motifs and like a third of the house done from what I can remember. And I unpicked it all because, you know, vintage sand dune by Lakeside Linens is precious. It's like gold. So I didn't want to waste the piece of linen. But this is, I love this. I think the only change that I made is I changed her hair color to red because I have a cute little redhead in my home. And then there was over one stitching right here to put in your name and wrought by what year. And I decided to just eliminate that, and I added pumpkins. And I believe these pumpkins are out of George Decorates for Martha, out of a Plum Street Samplers book. So there's that. Oh, I love it so much. So I have been diligently working on this quilt finish for a few years, but I don't work on it year round. I just work on it in the fall when I have all the fall fills. And it is Autumn Love by Lori Holt of Be In My Bonnet, and it is an applique quilt. So I started this, I don't know how many years ago, but I finally have finished it for the most part. And I'll tell you why in a second when it's not fully finished. I need to do the embroidery still on it. So like there's a little bit of embroidery stitching, but I needed to get this put together because up in our mountains, we went for a drive 2 weeks ago and noticed all the leaves were falling. And I really wanted to get this picture of this quilt taken with all the fall leaves before they were gone. So I still need to do the embroidery, but I wanted to get this put together and done so that I could get my pictures. So at the end of the video, I'll insert pictures. We took this up on our hike for my daughter's birthday and took its portrait with the fall leaves. So like I still need to stitch the scarecrow's little face and some of his hay. And on this side I need to stitch down a little bit of fuzzy corn. Other than that, it is done. It is my favorite. I think this is honestly my favorite quilt I've ever made. It's so pretty, and it's really hard to take a good video of it by myself. My quilt assistant is off with friends right now, so at the bottom. People that do this make it look so easy, but I assure you it is not. This is my favorite block, the crows with the vase of sunflowers and vines and flowers. Love it so much. So I will insert a better picture of this at the end. But I am so glad to have this done. I'm going to try to get it, the embroidery done on it so I can get it over to the quilter so that it can receive the love that it deserves. But I am so glad to have this done. It really is one of my very favorite quilts I've ever made. So thanks for letting me share it with you. I hope that you all have a great rest of your fall, and I'm seeing very many people starting to stitch Christmas. I'm just not there yet. I think that this next November, or the next few weeks until I see you, I will be working on fall stitching still. So I look forward to showing you my progress here in a month, and until then, happy stitching.